I call this meeting to order at 7:08 p.m. But before we start, please permit me to read the script for remotely conducted open meetings. So as a preliminary matter, this is Aaron Vandestein, the chair of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Doug Bowman.
Hi.
Okay. Let's go with Karen Sepitelli.
Hi.
Martin Essner.
Aye.
Dana Wilson.
Aye.
Daniela Sharma.
Aye.
Great. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Beth Galloway.
Aye.
Okay. So good evening. The open meeting of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find on the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is convening via Zoom video conference, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Great. So I'm going to turn to the first item on the agenda, which is policy review. Can I ask that a member of the policy committee just briefly introduce the meeting, the first policy that we'll be discussing and voting on?
I believe this is Daniela. I believe the first policy we will be reviewing will be the facility rental policy.
Meeting room use policy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Meeting room use policy on the agenda.
Oh, a meeting room use policy. My apologies. Yeah, I think everyone has the latest draft version of that policy. And at this point, are there any questions with respect to the draft as written?
I see Karen. So just make sure that we don't deliberate. I think questions are fine. But any deliberation should be done after a motion is made.
Okay. All right. My question here in paragraph 2, They're available to community and nonprofit organizations. This, and it lists out cultural, educational, and/or civic. Is my understanding correct that the library director has the authority to determine that?
I'm not sure if we determine who is the ultimate, but I don't think, like, it can be the director plus in conjunction with the trustees to determine and to review
Mhm,
whether an organization is civic,
mhm,
educational, or nonprofit. I think together that would be, it can be a review case by case basis if it's not expressly clear.
mhm. Okay. Yeah, the reason for my asking is just sometimes, seems like, every once in a while something comes up where it's questioned. So I just kind of playing devil's advocate. What if there is a question? What do we?
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Yeah. If there is a question with respect to the status of organization, it can be brought to the board and together we can, with the director, we can discuss and make a determination.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions before we hear motions?
Another question, sorry.
Yep.
Yep.
The order of the bullets, I mean, was there, like, was that intentional, that which bullets came first, or was it more just a stream of thought?
Is there something about the order that brought this to mind?
Yeah,
Maybe
just
that-
some of the bullets that were not up at the front, to me, seem like more almost like an introductory, or, could be up front. It's not super important or anything, but that's just what I was thinking.
Hmm. I'm not sure if the ones that are at the front of the list or the top of the list or the bottom are meant in any sort of importance. If I'm reading it in the beginning, it's sort of a not a mission, but a way to understand why the policy is written and for what purpose. And then some of the specifics are in there for afterwards. Does that make any
Okay.
sense?
Yep, sure. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions for the meeting room use policy? I would just like to say for the record, this was a very well done policy. I'm very impressed with the way that it came out. If I hadn't said so before, I just wanted to say on record. So I want to commend the people who worked on this, especially this is a brand new policy for our library. And a lot of the things that kind of came to mind as I was reading through it, like, somebody just trying to block off a particular meeting room to meet there regularly, it was well thought out, and that policy addresses those things. So nice work, everyone. Okay, so since there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve this policy. Okay, Karen,
Okay, I make a motion to accept the meeting room policy as reviewed.
great. Any second?
I second to accept the meeting policy as reviewed.
Okay, any discussion? Great, hearing none. All in favor? Aaron Vandestein, aye. Daniela, Karen,
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
and Doug.
Aye.
Great. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, everyone. On to the next item on the agenda. Could I ask you again, Daniela, to introduce the policy?
This is the facility rental policy for individuals or groups without nonprofit status. And it is a 4-page document. I believe everybody has the latest draft version and had a chance to review. If there's any questions or comments? Questions, sorry.
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
So I think that the attachments were included to some certain websites. So was there a reason to leave that in? Yeah, I guess if you intended this to be a digital copy, but just as a general comment, I think they can probably go stale. I mean, I see that those say 2019, who knows when 2020 or 2021 will come out. So I just question why those are in there, if it's just as a placeholder or not.
That's a good point. Yeah, they are. When reviewing, we always have these. Most of them are PDFs to review, but that's a good point that they should be available.
There are links to required town documents. So
Mhm.
when this policy is live on the web, it'll be a live link, but I can take it out of the, say, print document. As you're right, they will update and expire.
Yeah,
Maybe a comment that says, you know, these are available on the town website or something.
great. Any further questions? I'll hear more questions. I think I saw Dana's hand go up.
We're not going to debate it. I was just, my thought is, I know why you put these in here, because you want people to go and get the information they need instead of picking up the phone and calling or something. So I liked what Doug said. Just say, if we can't update it every year, you know, if we can't keep it updated, then we should just let them know that they need to go to the website for current updates. I think it makes a lot of sense, because anybody that's doing this knows exactly, it's really helpful. They know exactly what they need to do. It's going to help us.
Good point.
I saw Karen's hand go up. Any questions for the policy committee?
Yeah, just, are there any personnel fees associated with these after hours rentals? Like, do we have to have a, you know, a janitor on staff or anything like that? So do we have any costs associated with it?
I would say in theory, no. An
Mhm.
exception would be if we approve this policy, these policies tonight, and decide that, say, in November, we are going to start allowing public meetings,
Mhm.
but the security gate that prevents people from going upstairs to the second floor isn't available,
Mhm.
then we would need a staff member, really 2 staff members for safety
Mhm.
on site. And actually an example is the Small Stones Art Festival, which has scheduled, I think, 4 events at our building the 2nd and 3rd weekends of October, which we would like to honor, assuming we do not have a COVID issue that would prevent us from doing so. But I don't expect by that point those gates will be available, and I can't have volunteers. I would need to hire staff members to be there Friday night, Saturday, Sunday to staff the building.
Mhm. Right.
But going
so-
forward, no.
Right. Okay. All right. And another thing is, it says that the use is no use that is likely to disturb library patrons. But then in another part of this, it says things can only be rented during non-library hours. So is it only during non-library hours, or might that change?
So there is a possibility that somebody could be renting the space on a Friday night and teen D&D is taking place in the building as an official library program.
Okay.
You could also take disturbed to mean emotionally disturbed. And if this policy allows for like a white supremacist group to come in and we
Mhm.
say that's going to be disruptive, like it might be physically loud, violent, disruptive picketers, protesters, it could also be very disturbing to members of the staff or community.
Right. Okay. So it
I could
covers
interpret
that.
it either way.
Yeah.
I'd
And
like
my
to.
last question is, and the money person in me, who's responsible for collecting this money, and where does the money go? And who has to keep track of it?
It would come to the administrative office where Eileen LeBlanc, who's our library accounts manager, would handle it like any other donation or fee or like lost material money coming in. When we used to have fine money, she handled it. There's a weekly turnover to the town, and we would designate that it go into the town's either revolving fund account or the gift account.
Okay, all right,
my
so
underst-
the library maintains use of this for the future?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
I think Aaron?
Yeah, thank you. So a question on language clarification. It might have made sense when writing it, but reading it is, I'll say what it is. It's so facilities rental reservations may be made no more than 12 months and no less than 3 weeks in advance. So I get the 12 months. You don't want someone booking a room more than a year, over a year in advance. But what is no less than 3 weeks? Is that they can't book something a week before they need it?
Yeah, that's not enough time. Especially since there's a reservation, I believe there's reservation process that the staff have to go through. I can imagine that there will always be an emergency request, and that can be discussed on a case-by-case basis. We always reserve that right to have that. But we really do need, for process to make sure that there's, to make sure there's space, to make sure that it will be adequately staffed if needed, or make sure that the organizers of the event will have the right permits and personnel in place for themselves. 3 weeks we felt was a reasonable request.
Okay. Yeah. Now that you explain it that way, I think the language is fine the way it is.
And as
Thank you.
always, we can review special cases. As much as possible, we try to cover as many event cases in this policy, but we did leave ourselves the option to review anything else on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. I just have 2 comments about, I guess, typos. And then one, I think, is just at the end. It's is it beverage? So something was just, it popped out on my word processor.
Oh, okay.
So there's just that. And then I think the word only doesn't need to be in caps. I don't know if that's proper English, but I understand why it stands out. It was added to be highlighted, but I don't know if it was also meant to be all caps.
I see. On page 2. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you. Any further questions for the policy committee?
I think Doug?
Yep, please, Doug.
2 questions. One is, so nonprofit groups will not be able to rent the facility during library hours, right? Because it says they're only able to rent them during non-operating hours.
But then,
It seems a bit restrictive. I didn't know we were limiting in that, but okay. And then the second question is, I know we talked about this last time, but I can't seem to find that bullet point, but we had brought up that situation with tutors. Are you assuming that the tutoree is going to just book the meeting room according to the other policy, and that'll just apply to the meeting room policy, even though the tutor is getting paid? Yep, okay. So I mean, I certainly would like to, I think this is fine now, but in the future, I think we want to consider having it open during operating hours, because everyone with nonprofit status is going to be a business and they're going to want to use it during the day.
True.
Now,
but
obviously, we don't want it to interfere with library activities, but it is a separate enough area that we could consider it.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Beth to reply to that aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead, Beth. And then I think once you're finished addressing Doug, then we'll hear from Dana. And then I think there's no further questions for the
Yeah.
policy committee. We can entertain motions.
Thank you.
Actually, I just want to clarify one thing. and nonprofit, like what if the nonprofit wants to use it during operating hours? I guess those two situations. So that's a good, okay,
I think
Yeah.
it's in there, Doug. The
Yeah.
library has discretion, library director.
okay.
The issue is that
They have
We
to
are-
pay more.
we are
Go
a
ahead,
free,
Beth.
we are a free public library. Our fundamental purpose is free and open to the public. So the moment that we have Ms. or Mr. Realtor booking our space at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon to run their for-profit intro to home buying seminar, and somebody wanders in to pick up their hold and they see it going on in the community room and they go, oh, that's interesting. I want to go. And now they're getting stopped at the door because the realtor needs their $250 to go to the for-profit seminar. And I don't want any confusion about our things going on, events, programs, whatever, in the library, either done by nonprofit groups for free for us, like the Native Plants Group that wants to do an activity, us having local authors come, the library staff doing their own programming. I don't want confusion about, can I go to this program, and limiting the audience of, do I have to pay to get into the room to go to the program when the library is open during regular operating hours. That's why it's written that way.
Okay.
I feel very strongly about it. The primary function of the Grafton Public Library is not to provide much needed community meeting room space for everybody in town. It's just not.
I was not envisioning that they would be charging for that meeting. Because
Yeah.
if they might just be, I mean, obviously they're looking to promote their business, but it might still be just an informational session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it's a library program and a library partnership. And we might even be paying them to come in and do it. But that's different. I really think the facility rental piece is, I want to do a weekend realtor home buying seminar or a gaming convention or have my wedding, and I'm going to pay for the use of that space. And it's a limited audience for a private event for an audience that may or may not be paying to participate.
Yep, that makes sense. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Dana?
I think as I read all of these, it seems to me that a lot of this is the discretion under the library director. Because if one nonprofit I know was planning on having an event like an hour book reading session, which is open to the public and is free, and it's like on a Sunday or a Saturday rather, I think the library director would consider what the event's about and let it happen. So I'm thinking we're going to see how this works, but the library director will have discretion, and so that's all I was going to say. I know we're not supposed to talk right now, so I won't, but that's all I was going to say. So that makes me feel a little bit more, that makes me feel good, comfortable.
Any further questions for the policy committee? Very good. I will entertain motions.
Make a motion to accept the facility rental policy with the discussed changes of the hyperlinks.
I second the motion to approve the facility rental policy with the wording to let people know that the hyperlinks that you need to update, look at the town's website to make sure you get the updated PDFs and links.
Can
Yes,
we
sorry,
also, can we also amend to include amended as accepted as amended to exclude the hyperlinks and to correct the 2 typos?
Oh, you're going to exclude
Yes.
him?
Yeah, I know the language will instead just refer to the town website.
I agree.
Don't forget the
Okay.
typos.
Great. So motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Dana?
I just wanted to say, I know the way that I'm looking at these, and I'm sure we are, is that we've never done this before, so we're going to see how this all works. Because I know that the library's main source is free. It's free, and to also, be open for public use. But in our town, we've had no facility room, so this is it's really important to a lot of people that they'll be able to use the facility. And a lot of them are nonprofit and the events won't be charged. So so my thought is we want to be open about, we want to be open about this, but I do agree that we don't, that's not the essence of why we have a library, but you have to remember there's no other place in Grafton except like at one or two other facilities that are rented only, and they're not public. So this is the only public place that I know of that lets you actually come in and rent a meeting room for a few hours. So I think that's really cool. And that's a lot of the reasons why people did want to, they passed the library, the funding for it, because we needed it. And as we've been talking, people say it's a community center, really. A lot of people don't still understand the concept of why we need a library, but when they see all this community stuff, they're like, oh, it's a community center. Well, that makes sense. So, but I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. Thank you.
Yep. And Dana, just to kind of reply to what you mentioned, the policy is it's very strong. It's a very strong policy. And I think as it stands, it's a good policy. But like you said, this is a first time for us. And I fully see us reviewing it again, maybe 6 months to a year, and saying figuring out what worked and what didn't work, and listening to the community, and really making it, better. But as it stands, I think it's a fantastic policy. Who knows how long it'll stand? I don't think it'll stand for 5 years as it is, but so I agree with you. Any further discussion? Great. Hearing none. All in favor? Aaron Vandestein, aye. Daniela?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Marty?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
And Doug?
Aye.
Great. I will approve the motion pass. I forget the wording. Okay, it's passed. How's that?
Yay.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. Nice work,
job.
everyone. So in the essence of time, we're at 7:35, and I want to make sure that we have enough time to talk about bibliotemp. So would you introduce the next item on the agenda, Beth?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah, thanks. So we have posted 4 vacancies that I budgeted for and that were approved at town meeting in July for the FY22 budget. 3 18-hour positions to cover public service desks, for the reference desk, for the YA space, teen space, and in the children's room, so that we had evening and weekend coverage where we didn't have enough staff to be the second body or even the only body in the teen room case in the room. And then I had someone who was doing some administrative work for me who resigned in February. So that vacancy has just been open for a while. And I posted that at 16 hours a week. And in a previous meeting, we agreed that that person could also serve as trustee scribe. And we could use about $3,000 of state aid money once that person is hired to have them additionally come in on Wednesday nights once a month and do the notes and do some of the other work, policy committee, and pull the agenda together and all that. So some of these were posted in June, and then we had gone back and forth about the administrative assistant position, and that just got posted in August. While I've had applications coming in, they aren't necessarily applications for people who are qualified for the job. We have done a few interviews for the children's position. And then with the move happening, prepping for the move in June, end of fiscal year stuff and town meeting in June, and then new fiscal year in July, huge statistical report due to Mass Board of Library Commissioners, and then moving at the end of July, there has not been time or energy to interview. I don't know if all of the board is aware, but I am spending 75 to 80% of my time doing construction related work. And that's been the case for the last 6 weeks. So I can't get to my regular director duties, nor can I take on hiring new staff, unfortunately. So I have these applications sitting in limbo. Bibliotemps has been an organization that's part of the Massachusetts library system. And what they do is with I think 40% surcharge, they will find you qualified staff and put them in temporary positions, which means we're not paying out benefits, in public, academic, whatever libraries. And sometimes it's short term. We just need somebody on, Saturday mornings for 3 hours. Sometimes it's more like the director's going on maternity leave and we need an 8 or 10 year placement. Sometimes it's just we're doing a director search and we need a 6-month person. In my case, I don't have time to hire. They already have vetted people. And when I give them the postings and job descriptions, they can say, oh, here's somebody who can do this job. Do you want to just see resumes? Do you want to pick people to interview? Or do you want me to just look at their resumes and you can tell us who you want to have come and try it out? And that also means that, say, for an 18-hour children's position, I could have an 8-hour person and a 10-hour person. And then after 2 weeks say, you know, I really like this one person and the other one is great, but they're just not a good fit. Can the other one do more hours? Actually, we really love them. Can we pay the fee to hire them away from bibliotemps and instate them as a permanent member of the staff? So it's not to circumvent any process. You know, I have to post for 30 days. I have to interview candidates. I am supposed to present 3 names to the select board so that they can make a recommendation, and usually based on my recommendation, say, yes, okay, you can hire that person. When you multiply that times 4, it usually takes 3 months to hire somebody. So getting qualified bibliotemps in will alleviate a lot of stress for me and the staff, and it will ensure that if we are to open our doors, which could happen the first week of October, that I will have people in place who know libraries, who might even know our evergreen circulation system, and who can hit the ground running and staff those public service desks. Questions?
Great, thank you, Beth. I have a couple of questions. I think the first one is easy. I tried to look this up, and I think I have an old figure, but do we know how much we have in state aid, and do we have any current encumbrances, I think is the right word, meaning we have bills to pay from that state aid money that we've, you know, allocated for either I don't think the staircase, but is there anything else that we agreed to pay for? I don't recall.
Yeah, Doug can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all of the money committed to the capital campaign, $125,000, I believe all of that came out of other grants and trusts, not out of state aid. And he's nodding. So
Yep.
my last count was we had about $120,000 in state aid, with another prospective 20,000 to 24,000 coming in this year.
Yeah, that sounds right to me also.
Great. Yep, that's about what I thought. So the next question is, I think you mentioned that we've gotten some really great candidates in the past out of Bibliotemp who ended up becoming full-time employees.
Yeah.
How was that done in the past? It probably wasn't done through Trustees state aid money. So I'm just kind of wondering, this is kind of a 2-part question. You know, since the town has also approved these positions, you know, allocated salary for these positions, I guess, was this done through the town in the past, or was it done through trustee board?
I don't know. We've used Bibliotemps 5 times now, as far back as 2008. And the only thing that I have in my files from previous director is like the letter of agreement signed with Bibliotemps, which doesn't tell me how it was funded. I could do some digging and get back to you. I will say that one issue is, if we've posted a position, again, I'm going to pick on the children's staff. We posted a children's position that requires a college degree at $18.36 an hour. Bibliotemps will probably pay them, if they're a paraprofessional, again, without a library degree, college degree, has some children's experience, they might pay them $17.05 an hour, but they're going to charge us 40% more on top of that. And if it turns out they actually don't have a paraprofessional or a new professional, somebody who's in library school or just graduated within 2 years, who has the children's expertise that we have to have, and they say, well, we can give you an MLS candidate and someone with the degree, but they're going to be $20.40 an hour, plus that 40% surcharge. Like my town budget can't handle that, because I budgeted $18.36. And already with the 40% surcharge that covers their taxes and insurance, like it'll blow, even with, you know, 2 months now or 3 months of the positions not being funded, it'll blow that budget out of the water. So what I did is I asked Evan, if I do find somebody great, instead of using state aid money for all of the costs associated with the temps, if I want to hire somebody away and there's a fee, and I know there will be a fee, I don't know what it is, can we use town budget for that? And he said yes, that might. So it's not like the town is going, oh, your problem. You know, there is some give and take. And then there's also the fact that I wanted to, one of the reasons we lowered the administrative assistant salary is so we could more fairly and equitably redistribute that among staff who've had 2% or less raises over the last 3 years because they're not union. And they're upset at people coming in making almost what they're making because I can't pay any new people coming in peanuts. We're in the middle of a wage and classification thing that will help, we hope. But
Thank you. You did answer another question of mine, which I think is we don't know what that will cost if we decide we like somebody and want to hire them.
It's actually in that agreement.
oh, it
It's,
is. I missed it.
It's 20% of their projected annual salary, minimum of $3,000. So if you hire somebody for whatever, 40 grand, that's 8 grand.
Okay.
So-
And so, but your discussions, so I understand what you were saying, your discussions with the town was that they'd be willing to, if we decided there was a quality candidate, they would pay for that cost. Is that right?
Provided
Uh-huh.
it still comes out of the budget that the library has set for FY22.
Yep.
So I probably won't be able to hire, say, 4 people making 40 grand and 8 grand a pop.
Okay.
And I think there's a year interim too. Like they can't leave being temps and then I can't turn around and hire them. And actually I'm not to like continue to post or share the position.
Okay. I think that's all that I had. I saw Dana's hand, or was there somebody before Dana?
I'm not
Go ahead,
sure.
Dana, please go
I
ahead.
just have a quick question. And please excuse me for my ignorance. So you just said basically in order for you to hire hire a person at the library, it's your job to give the Board of Selectmen 3 different candidates.
They'd like to see at least 3.
Okay, and so are they the final decision makers then?
I believe that Evan is the person who appoints the position. So he actually, the town administrator, brings forward the name and the select board often wants to see or meet them. They often ask, do you live in Grafton? And then they vote to approve the appointment, the recommendation from Evan, which is in theory a recommendation from me.
And is that for all departments? Is that for like the school? That's for schools, police officers, everything?
School does something completely different.
Okay.
So I can't answer to that. But yes, generally town positions, Evan is the town administrator is the boss
Okay.
over everybody. And they
Okay, so other town
they hire and fire.
positions. Okay, including the police, I would think then.
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
union rules may have something different, but I think in
Okay,
general.
okay.
employee
All
management.
right, I just wondered. Thank you.
You're absolutely right, Dana. They did have a candidate they approved last Tuesday that the chief of police introduced to the select board, and the select board voted to approve the appointment
Okay, I just
for the
wondered.
police. Yeah. Mhm. Great. And any further questions for Beth? Doug?
One clarification, actually, the fee that we would have to pay goes down. So that was the rate if we offered them a full-time job during the first third period of their placement, and then it goes down to 10%, and then it goes down to $1,000. So if you do hire them at the end of the year, it's actually not that much.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would also say these are 18-hour-a-week positions. They're not full-time. So they're not going to be $40,000 positions off the bat. They're going to be 18,000 a year, maybe.
Yep.
But also my intent would be if whoever we hire, whether we do it through bibliotemps or we have and I might have great candidates who I haven't interviewed yet. So I'm still going to interview them. If we hire those people, then I'm thinking about my FY23 budget request now. That's due in
Mhm.
October.
Yep.
Goes to town administrator in December. So I'm already in my head saying these 18-hour people who I was supposed to bring on board this fiscal year should all bump up to 20 or 24 or even 30 hours, because honestly, that's what I need for coverage. And I put in the bare minimum to try and keep the budget under $1 million as I was directed. But the reality is, even with filling all 4 of these positions, we are still going to be short-staffed the second a staff member gets sick.
The second, the what?
As somebody gets sick and calls out sick.
Okay, so we don't, okay.
So, yeah. So I'm staffing on paper. We would be fully staffed with these 3 additional positions. And then the admin person is in the office and not covering a service desk. But we are still very tight because I have 5 desks and we'll be open 60 hours a week.
So my second question is, can you just clarify what happens January 1st? Are we going to re-up this, or does because the fiscal year doesn't start till July 1st, right? So what's going to happen from January through June?
Yeah. Basically, having the temps to staff the desks when we open to the public frees up my time from covering the public desk and allows me to interview or continue the hiring process. So my hope is definitely by December 31st, but hopefully in November, I will have resolved and have candidates to bring forward to officially hire for Town of Grafton, whether we buy them away from bibliotemps or we actually got and interviewed great candidates that we want to bring on that will fill and slot into those positions. And then we'll say we're done with the temping. I think they might need 2 weeks notice, but yeah. Yeah, so that I'm not anticipating coming back to the board in January to say, I didn't have time to do it. I'm too stressed and spread too thin and I need another $30,000. Not anticipate. I'm anticipating hiring people in that 3-month time period.
Okay, I will, I'll open the floor to any further discussion from somebody we haven't heard from, and then I'll let Dana have our final, unless you're responding to something she said.
I just wanted to ask what is the proposal, the financial proposal to us?
I can share it.
I know you shared it with me, but I'm not, I
Yeah.
just wanted clarification.
Great.
Yeah, it's to fund 4 positions, and because I don't know who they're going to get, like I know what I asked for. Like I said, I asked for a paraprofessional that knows children's services. And if they have a paraprofessional who knows circulation and a master's degree librarian who's looking for temp hours, who knows children's services, we prefer to have the children's person who's the expert. So I put the max salary for all the positions that I have available. Hang on a second and I'll share it.
Okay, no, I have it. I just wanted to know it. So if I look at this, you're asking us for $33,000 because what I'm hearing, if I understand correctly, is that we're not really, it is true that the town will let you use some of your funds to pay for like, if you are able to hire someone on a permanent basis, but it's difficult for us to come to an agreement what that amount of money would be. So that's
Right now,
that's
yeah.
why I just wondered what is the, what's the, the figure, and I see, I that's why I was wondering. So it's what we see right here, like almost 34,000.
Yeah. Not to exceed. Yes. Yeah,
And
not
that
to
would,
exceed this amount.
okay. Okay, and that lets you do what you need to do to hire full-time people. And then now I understand that this bibliotemps are almost like recruiting agencies for us because you
Okay.
get exposed to people and you get to know if the library gets to know if they like them, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's what okay. It's,
Are we not a member of bibliotemps? I know there's a member and a non-member, right?
Yeah. We are, but
Yeah.
again, my concern is like they could have somebody with 15 years of experience who's an expert and they're the only YA specialist, and that's the position I'm having the most trouble filling.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just put the max, again, not to exceed, but I put the max pay rate just in case to cover all of my bases. I don't expect we'll pay a non-member rate, but because we are members,
okay.
Right.
Okay.
but the salaries are a range, really.
So, okay. So you're probably asking more money than you need, is what I hear.
Yes, I'm absolutely asking for more money than I'll need. It's also possible that I could get this resolved in November and then, it's not going to be for 15 weeks. It'll be for 11 weeks or 10 weeks or 12 weeks. And
Okay.
or we will actually hire an administrative assistant at the advertised rate because we got a good candidate through our own local posting. And I won't actually need a bibliotemp. When asked to prioritize, I said the reference and YA were the ones that I was having trouble, a little bit of couldn't get to. And the YA is the one I really can't find somebody to do. And the children's specialization is important. I have a lot of people applying and think it'd be great to be a children's librarian, but they have no children's experience. So those are
Sure.
higher priority than the admin assistant one.
Anything further, Dana?
No, that's it.
Great.
I found my answers.
Marty, please.
Yeah, for the purpose of contemplating framing a motion,
Mhm.
I want to be certain that I understand that there are at least two central elements in my mind. One is that we are authorizing an expenditure through Bibliotemp to a maximum of $33,756.75 through December 31, 2021. And that's essentially what you're asking us to approve.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I would be prepared to make that motion, Mr. Chairman, if we're ready for it.
Great. Any further questions for Beth? Okay, Marty, I'll hear your motion.
I move that the board approve the request of the library director that an expenditure be made to Bibliotemp for temporary staffing in an amount not to exceed $756.75 through the period ending December 31, 2021.
You missed a couple
I
digits.
didn't hear it.
Would
Yeah.
you like me to restate it?
Yeah, please, for the record.
I'm sorry. Let me be more clear. I move that the library board approve the request of the library director to expend for temporary personnel through Bibliotemp the sum of up to $33,756.75, which expenditure will terminate on December 31, 2021
From state aid.
from state aid.
Great. Motion made. Any second?
Second.
Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. I
Uh,
second.
Great. Karen seconded.
Martin's mo-
All in favor? Aaron Vandestein, aye. Daniela,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
and Doug.
Aye.
Great. I can't get the language right.
There, the motion carried.
Declare the motion carried. That's the word, declare. Thank you. Come on, you gotta
I
help
used to
me
say
out
that for
once in a
years.
while.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Great. Since we don't have any public input, the next meeting is our monthly meeting, Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021 at 7 p.m. We will be convening by Zoom video conference. And at this time, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
Mhm. I make a motion to adjourn.
Great. Any second?
I will second that motion.
All right. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Daniela,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
and Doug.
Aye.